City of Norwalk, Registrar of Voters, presents Poll Workers Training Video Series. Tabulator Tender's Duties. As a tabulator tender, your duties during voting days consist of: arrive at the polls no later than 5:15 a.m. and be sworn in by the moderator, sign the oath of office, and then set up your tabulator tender's station and any signage provided to you. Afterwards, the tabulator tender should verify that the privacy area around the ballot box is established. A privacy folder should be available at the tabulator tender's station to cover the elector's ballot if needed. The tabulator tender will assist the elector if the tabulator rejects the elector's ballot, and will explain how to get a new ballot should the elector choose to do so. The tabulator tender will notify the moderator if a ballot gets jammed in the tabulator, and should regularly check the voting privacy booths for abandoned ballots or if the caps need to be put back on the ballot marking pens. At the end of the election day, the tabulator tenders must sign their payroll sheets and any election-related forms required by the moderator. Tabulator tenders are given a number of supplies to assist them with their tasks. These may consist of at least one privacy folder and "I voted today" stickers, if your municipality provides them. Do not place them on the elector. Electors may not wish to be touched, and some fabrics might be damaged by the adhesive. The tabulator tender's duty is to make sure that each ballot cast by the elector is accepted before the elector leaves the vicinity of the tabulator. In addition, the tabulator tender is to inform the elector on how the elector can review and/or correct his or her ballot. The tabulator tender's station is to be positioned 4 feet away from the tabulator, and the tabulator tender should be consistently observing electors as they are casting their ballots. The tabulator tender should maintain order as electors are able to access the tabulator. This will also assist the tabulator tender in preventing anyone from tampering with the tabulator. Tabulator tenders may, on the election day, need to instruct an elector on the correct method for inserting the ballot into the tabulator. The tabulator tender is tasked with determining if the elector's ballot has been accepted by the tabulator before an elector leaves the polling place. Tabulator tenders will collect the privacy folders electors drop off at their station and recycle them back to the ballot clerk. The tabulator tender shall advise the elector of any error message displayed by the tabulator. If a ballot is rejected by the tabulator, they shall instruct the elector on how to correct the problem, but the tabulator tender shall not look at the elector's ballot choices that have been marked on the ballot. An elector's right to a secret ballot must be preserved. If a new ballot is needed or requested by the elector, the tabulator tender shall instruct the elector to return to the ballot clerk, with their original ballot, to receive a new ballot. If the tabulator jams or malfunctions, the tabulator tender shall summon the moderator before any corrective action is taken. The tabulator tender and moderator shall clear any jammed ballots in accordance with instructions provided for the tabulator, and shall in all cases avoid looking at the markings on the elector's ballot. The tabulator shall not be opened unless the moderator is present. The moderator shall make a record of such an event in the moderator's diary and describe whether the tabulator indicated that the elector's ballot has been counted or not. If the tabulator rejects an elector's ballot, the most likely cause is normally, if the ballot contains an overvote or has no recordable votes on it. When the tabulator rejects a ballot, it displays a message indicating the reason for the return of the ballot. The tabulator tender shall advise the elector of these messages without looking at the markings on the ballot. In many cases, simply inserting the ballot in a different orientation, bottom first versus top first, upside down instead of right side up, may solve the problem. However, the 2 special cases discussed next require special procedures. Special case number 1 is an overvote. An overvote occurs when an elector votes for more candidates for an office than they are entitled to. Sometimes, a stray mark or markings inadvertently written by the elector on the ballot may get read by the tabulator, and thereafter counted as if the elector cast an extra vote, unwittingly. When the overvote message is therefore displayed, the tabulator tender shall instruct the elector to recheck their ballot to be sure that the elector did not mark more choices for an office than allowed and that there are no stray marks recorded on the ballot. The tabulator tender may need to instruct the elector to obtain and mark a new ballot. The following is a suggested script for the tabulator tender to follow. The tabulator has rejected your ballot because it reads more votes for an office than allowed, which is called an overvote. If you wish to correct the voting error, we will be happy to supply you with a replacement ballot. If you do not wish to correct the voting error, we can accept your ballot as presented. However, no votes for any office that you have overvoted will count. Are you certain that you do not wish to receive a replacement ballot? If the elector insists that the ballot be processed as is, the tabulator tender shall instruct the elector to deposit the ballot in the auxiliary bin compartment. Special case number 2. A blank or unreadable ballot. A blank or unreadable ballot is one on which the tabulator cannot read a single vote for any office. This might occur if someone submitted a ballot and intentionally did not vote for anyone. However, it is much more likely that the elector has incorrectly recorded every one of their votes on the ballot. For example, circled the names, or used X's or checks that the tabulator could not pick up. Or used the wrong kind of pen or pencil. Note: the tabulator scans ballots using a red light and thus does not see markings that are in red. If the elector uses a red pen, the ballot will appear blank to the tabulator. The tabulator tender shall review with the elector the correct voting instructions and direct the elector to obtain a new replacement ballot. The following is a suggested script for the tabulator tender to follow. The tabulator has rejected your ballot because it does not read any votes on the ballot. If you wish to cast votes on the ballot, you may return to the voting booth. Instructions on the voting process are available there. If you want a replacement ballot, the ballot clerk will be happy to supply you with one. If you do not wish to return to the voting booth, or get a replacement ballot from the ballot clerk, you may cast your ballot as presented. However, no votes will count for any candidates or questions that you have left blank. Once an elector's ballot has been accepted by the tabulator, the elector shall be directed to immediately leave the polling location. No one shall be allowed or permitted to leave the polling place with a ballot, either marked or unmarked.